like you. Be strong to hold the powers of the sun. To dream, believe in strength. Now I'm the only one.
Welcome back to Diorpop. Before we begin, let me ask you something simple. When was the last time a quiet moment moved you more than a headline? In an industry built on spectacle, numbers, and constant noise, the most meaningful stories often arrive without announcements. Today's story isn't about charts, controversies, or viral moments. It's about presence. About what it means when an artist chooses to step out of the spotlight and sit among the crowd. Today, we're talking about Jungkook, not on stage, not under blinding lights, but in the audience, attending Mingyu and S.Coups concert. There is something that always feels different when news about Jungkook surfaces not as the center of the stage, but as someone in the audience. Not as the golden magne bathed in spotlights, but as a friend, a junior, a human being who shows up with a simple intention, to offer support. Today, that news spread quietly yet quickly. Jungkook attended Mingyu and S.Coups concert. There was no official announcement. No stage waiting for his reaction. Just whispers traveling from one corner of the fandom to another, carrying a warmth that is difficult to put into words. Amid the chaos of an industry filled with relentless schedules and endless expectations, Jungkook's presence at that concert felt like a small but meaningful pause. Imagine the atmosphere. The concert lights ignite, the sea of fans moves in rhythm, and among thousands of faces immersed in the music, there is Jungkook, without stage outfits, without choreography, without the pressure to be flawless. He is there simply as someone who wants to enjoy his friends' music, to celebrate the hard work they poured onto the stage. Mingyu and S.Coups are not just colleagues from the same industry. They belong to a generation of idols who grew under similar pressures, who understand exactly what it means to stand on stage with a racing heart and the weight of expectations on their shoulders. Jungkook's presence there speaks without words. I see you, I support you, I'm proud of you. What makes this moment so compelling is not hype or exaggerated rumors, but its simplicity. In a K-pop world that often forces every interaction to be read as a hidden symbol, moments like this feel the most honest. A major idol taking time out to sit among the audience and appreciate someone else's work. Many imagine what Jungkook's expression might have been as the lights dimmed and the music began. Did he smile softly when he recognized the opening notes? Did he nod along to the beat, clap enthusiastically when the performance reached its peak? These small imagined details move fans' hearts not because of spectacle, but because of their human intimacy. There is a quiet beauty in idols supporting one another without sharing the same stage. No collaboration, no fan service, just presence. And perhaps that is exactly why this moment feels powerful. Jungkook did not come to be seen, he came to see. In recent years, Jungkook has often been positioned as a symbol of talent, of success, of standards that feel nearly impossible to reach. Yet moments like this remind us that beneath all of that, he is still someone who has friends, admiration, and a need for simple connection. Sitting at a concert, enjoying music, feeling the energy of the stage from a different side. For Mingyu and S.Coups, knowing that a fellow idol like Jungkook took time to attend must carry its own quiet significance. Behind the long hours of practice, unseen injuries, and mental pressure rarely spoken about, support like this can become a silent but deeply meaningful source of strength. The fandom reacted in many ways. Some were surprised. Some smiled warmly. Others felt emotional without fully knowing why. Perhaps because moments like this remind us of something easily forgotten, that this industry, beneath all its glamour, is built by people who quietly cheer for one another. There is no need to exaggerate it. No need for elaborate theories or forced narratives. It is enough to understand that today, Jungkook chose to be there, among the audience, watching Mingyu and S.Coups stand on their own stage. And maybe that is where its beauty truly lies. In a world that constantly demands grand meanings, moments like this remind us that the most genuine support often arrives without loud declarations. Jungkook was present, the music played, the stage shone, and for one night, everything felt simple and real. That presence may not change the course of the industry or create a new sensation, but it leaves behind a warmth that lingers. A small glimpse into an idol's life that we rarely see, yet one that holds quiet significance. And for many, knowing that Jungkook was there is more than enough to make the day feel just a little more special. As the concert unfolded, one can't help but think about what it means for someone like Jungkook to choose a seat in the crowd rather than a place backstage. For an artist whose life has been spent under constant observation, anonymity, even partial, can feel like a rare luxury. In that space, surrounded by fans who were there for Mingyu and S.Coups, Jungkook was simply another heartbeat in the audience, sharing the same anticipation, the same emotional highs. Concerts are intimate in ways that cameras often fail to capture. They are built on shared breaths between performer and audience, on moments where sound vibrates through the chest before it reaches the ears. To witness that from the outside, especially when you are usually the one creating those moments, changes the perspective entirely. Jungkook knows what it takes to command a stage. He knows the exhaustion hidden behind confident smiles, the discipline behind effortless performances. Watching Mingyu and S.Coups perform, he wasn't just enjoying the show, he was understanding it. There is something deeply respectful about that kind of presence. Not interrupting, not drawing attention, not turning the night into a spectacle about himself. Just being there. In an industry where visibility is currency, choosing quiet support is almost radical. It also speaks to a broader, often unseen network of solidarity among idols. Rivalries are easy to imagine from the outside, but reality is far more layered. Many of these artists grew up training at similar ages, facing similar fears, sacrificing similar parts of their youth. Seeing one another succeed does not always spark competition, it can spark pride. Jungkook attending that concert feels like a reflection of that unspoken bond. Fans often talk about stages as places of dreams, but for idols, they are also places of survival. Every performance carries risk, of mistakes, of criticism, of physical strain. Knowing that someone who truly understands that risk is watching from the crowd can be grounding. Even if Mingyu and S.Coups never exchanged words with Jungkook that night, the knowledge of his presence alone may have been enough. What resonates most, however, is how naturally this moment fits into Jungkook's character, as many have quietly observed over the years. He has always shown respect toward fellow artists, often praising performances, acknowledging effort, and remaining sincere in his admiration. This was not out of character, it was an extension of it. For fans, moments like these invite reflection rather than speculation. They encourage us to step back from narratives that constantly demand drama and instead appreciate the calm spaces in between. Not everything needs to be decoded. Not every appearance needs to mean more than it is. Sometimes, support is just support. And yet, that simplicity is exactly what makes it powerful. In a world saturated with noise, quiet gestures stand out. Jungkook sitting in the audience, letting Mingyu and S.Coups own their night completely, becomes a reminder of how meaningful it is to show up for others without expecting anything in return. Long after the final song ended and the lights came back on, that feeling likely lingered, not just for those on stage but for those who heard about it later. Because beyond fandom boundaries and group names, this moment reflects something universal, the importance of being present for people who matter. In the end, Jungkook attending Mingyu and S.Coups concert is not a headline meant to shock. It is a quiet story meant to be felt. A reminder that even in an industry built on spectacle, the most sincere moments often happen off stage, in the shadows of the crowd, where applause is given not out of obligation, but out of genuine respect. And so, as we reach the end of this story, perhaps the point was never about who was seen where, or which names shared the same space. Perhaps the real takeaway is simpler, and far more human. In an industry that constantly asks idols to perform, to prove, to endure, choosing to show up quietly for someone else is its own kind of courage. Jungkook didn't need to be on stage that night to leave an impression. His presence spoke through restraint, through respect, through the understanding that sometimes the most meaningful support happens away from the spotlight. Mingyu and S.Coups had their moment, their stage, their applause, and Jungkook let it remain theirs. At Diorpop, we don't chase noise. We pay attention to what lingers after it fades. And this moment lingers not because it was loud, but because it was sincere. Because it reminds us that behind every performance is a human being, and behind every success is often a quiet circle of people who showed up when it mattered. So maybe this isn't just a story about Jungkook attending a concert. Maybe it's a reminder, for idols, for fans, for all of us, that presence is powerful, support doesn't need spectacle, and the most genuine moments are often the ones that ask nothing in return. Thank you for taking this moment with us. This is Diorpop, where we listen closely even when tea.